It was a massive blockbuster trade, and whose perspective is better to get than this legend right here, the Hall of Famer, one of the NBA's greatest ever. Well, technically, top 50. I call him top 15. His name is Rick Barry. He's one of the greatest Warriors to ever lace him up, one of the greatest to ever play basketball, period. And we're talking Jimmy Butler next. Welcome to the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Woo! Let's go!
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Oh, you can't. Not when Rick Barry's in the house. You can follow him on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Rick, it is great to see you, sir. Before we get into all the Jimmy Butler talk and the new look Golden State Warriors, got to give some love to the official sponsors of this program, and more specifically, the official sponsor of the Rick Barry Show, the title sponsor, and that is Dr. Tom Rosanelli, your hair restoration specialist. And Rick, we came up with a promo idea here where, because it's the 50th anniversary of your 1975 Golden State Warriors, you were the finals MVP. You helped lead that team to one of the greatest upsets in NBA history, sweeping the vaunted Washington Bullets 4-0. And in honor of that, what we'd like to do here is add a 0 to that 50 for the 50th anniversary and give anyone interested in getting treatment from Dr. Tom Rosanelli a $500 discount. I think that's a hell of a deal, sir. You're a former patient of his, so I would love to hear your testimonial on what people can expect from treatment with Dr. Tom Rosanelli.
Well, first of all, he's a terrific guy. I think you'll realize that if you are intelligent enough to visit him if you have an issue with the way that you look and what's happening with your hair on your head. I see God has a great sense of humor. He takes hair from you want it when you get older, and he sticks it other places in your nose, in your ear. I mean, it's kind of funny in a way. But Dr. Rosanelli can help you out for sure. He's the guy that will work on you. You're not going to go someplace where you get one of the underlings. And you can go in because your consultation is free. So check it out.
Yes.
You get a nice discount on it, and you can see some of the great work that he's done over the years. My thing is, I just wish I got him when I first did this. So, I mean, decades and decades and decades ago, the technology and everything improved so much. Like, I'm talking now and doing this over a freaking phone. Come on. You stream. I watch my son playing basketball over in Mongolia and all over the world because of technology. Back in those days, man, it was, trust me, the technology for doing something with your hair. I'm really disappointed that I was stupid enough to do it, but I wanted to change what was going on. Now you can do it in a really totally professional and incredible way, and Dr. Rosanelli can show you how to do that. So check it out.
Absolutely. The technology you reference when it comes to hair restoration, more specifically, there's two types that the doctor would like me to mention. One is FUE, which stands for follicular unit excision, and FUS, which is follicular unit strip procedures, both designed to make you look good, make you feel good. Go check out Dr. Tom Rosanelli. The phone number is right there on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, 415-931-9881. Again, 415-931-9881, or visit rosanelli.com. Again, rosanelli.com. You can do a free virtual consultation that is available for you. Go visit the doctor. Today's episode also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code GSW for a chance to get a free pick and to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash on your first deposit. It is fun, Rick. I have a great time playing Underdog. It's legal in California. And last but not least, the Super Bowl is around the corner. Great time to mention BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform. Rick, what are your plans for the Super Bowl? It's Chiefs, Eagles. You and I both love Patrick Mahomes personifies that. What are your plans for the Super Bowl? And any thoughts on that before we talk Warriors?
Well, I'm going to be pulling for the Chiefs to pull off the three-peat. Pat Riley will make a lot of money if that happens with his patent on the three-peat. And I just love watching him play. I just I love greatness. And, of course, Andy Reid's unbelievable as well as a coach. And so I'm sure for him, he's going to want to try to beat the Eagles again, being that he was one of their most successful coaches ever. Now he's with the Chiefs. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Mahomes can come up with, and and Kelsey and all this stuff. I don't need to necessarily see any more shots of Taylor Swift, but just let's focus on the game, okay? So anyway, I'm pulling for them. It should be a very competitive game. Philadelphia is no slouch. They started off poorly, just like that's why I'm not overly concerned about the Warriors. Now Philadelphia got off to a lousy start. All my friends from Philly were all whining and complaining and crying, and now look at what happened. They turned their whole season around, and you got to do it quicker in football because you don't have that many games. But in basketball, you got a long season. So the Warriors are hanging around there. They're in contention to get to the playoffs. Anything can happen, and they're going to try to hopefully get their act together. And once again, how many times have we talked about this? How many times in these clutch games, they're one of the leaders in the whole league in clutch games, but they're not performing at the level they need to perform in those clutch games. A little bit more consistent down the stretch. That's the disappointing thing to me. Once again, they blew a game in the last part of the game when they had a game in control and should have won that game. And so that's the part that hurts. It's nice to see the pod man be able to have a good game. Maybe that'll help with his confidence going forward. And it was nice to see the big guy have a chance to get starting again and put up some nice numbers. Although he was knocking down threes when he got a chance earlier, but he hasn't been very successful at that lately. But they certainly can use him to start knocking down a few threes to stretch the floor and open up things inside for all the other people. So we'll see what happens. So as far as the trade goes, you may as well get into that right now.
Yeah, real quick, Rick. I just want to finish up here. BetOnline, the game starts here, and what you're talking about with the game, more specifically for let's say someone's tuning in a day or two later because the Warriors play the Lakers tonight. You're talking about the Warriors blowing an 11-point lead with less than 2 minutes remaining.
With the Utah Jazz, yeah.
With the Utah Jazz,
yeah.
But Rick, this was a very emotional night. I don't know if that matters to you or not. The Warriors made this blockbuster trade moments before the game started. Shipped out Andrew Wiggins, who's been with the team since 2020. Shipped out Dennis Schroeder. Shipped out Kyle Anderson. Also a top 10 protected pick in next year's draft, which will roll over if by some chance this trade doesn't pan out and the Warriors end up being a lottery team. They will protect that pick if it's top 10. But regardless, that's the deal. Jimmy Butler is now a member of the Golden State Warriors. We're likely not going to see him tonight playing against the Lakers. Now let's get into it, sir. Jimmy Butler, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'll finish up on the game against Utah again. I mean,
Okay.
Credit to the Warriors. I mean, I think it's encouraging. I mean, you ship some other guys out who have been playing it all, and you're going with a crazy makeup lineup with people who hadn't really played much together, and they still had the game in hand.
Yeah.
On the road. So, I mean, that's encouraging in that respect. What's disappointing is having the game and letting the game slip through your fingers. So that's the disappointing part.
It was. And I think part of that is your two veterans were exhausted, right? I mean, you had Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, 36 and 34 respectively. And then they were surrounded by a lot of
Don't get into that.
You don't care. Okay.
No, come on. 36 and 34 minutes exhausted. Come on.
Fair enough.
Please.
Fair
Come
enough.
on, Cyrus. Don't do that to me. Come on, I averaged 47 minutes a game one season playing. I used to play over 40 minutes a game. You want to play. That's nothing. And, it's not – the difference is that some of the other guys didn't do what they needed to do. Their defense wasn't good. They gave up a terrific – and too many points. On the road, you can't give the other team that many points and expect to win very often, basically what it comes down to. Their defense was not to the level it needed to be for them to be able to win that game. So, but I always look – see, I'm the eternal optimist. I always look for the positive things. I'm not going to dwell on all the negative crap. And so the trade – it's not like I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. We got Jimmy Butler. We're going to be up a chance to win a championship. No, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, you gave up a pretty darn good player, basically replacing one with another. I mean, you gave up Wiggins and you've got Butler. I mean, what's the huge difference between those two players? What do you say is the difference between those two players?
The 2020 and 2023 postseason runs of the Miami Heat is what the difference is. I don't think Andrew Wiggins – he's never done that except, well, let me take a step back. He did pull off an incredible feat in 2022, being the second best player in the Warriors team in a title run. But he wasn't the best. He wasn't the number one guy. Jimmy Butler was the top dog on two teams that went to the NBA Finals unexpectedly. One of those teams was, I think, an 8th seed or a play-in. So I think that alone is a difference. Do you agree or no?
Well, it gives you another guy who can pick it up along with Steph and possibly carry you. Yes. But as far as the player himself, as opposed to what they can do when they're both playing their best basketball, what's the big difference between the two players?
I would say again, good question, great question. And I don't know if anyone can like objectively answer that. From my opinion, and obviously I'm going to give your opinion way
These are
more
all,
weight.
hey, listen, all this ever is opinion.
That is, you're right.
Anybody talking is just opinion. So I'm asking you for your opinion.
I think it's a great move. I think Jimmy Butler gives the Warriors a secondary go-to option that Andrew Wiggins did not fulfill consistently. And
Okay,
if
so
Jimmy
there's
Butler,
the thing. There's the thing.
Okay.
That's the point right there. Consistently be able to be the guy who can help you out. Now, if Jimmy can be consistent in that thing, because Wiggins has done that, pretty darn good. He's not been, he's not a slouch. I mean, there are guys that can go out there and get you a bunch of points, play hard on defense, whatever. I don't know. So let's see what happens. If he can do what you just said and consistently get you to 20 to 30 points when you need them, yes. Also, is he going to be happy playing this style of basketball?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see it. I'm fascinated to see it. Rick, I'm happy if for no other reason that because I like sometimes change is needed, right? I'm not one who believes that change should just happen for the hell of it, right? Like which some people do believe in it. I don't subscribe to that. To me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this was broken. The Warriors were a 500 team. They were 11th in the West. I was not satisfied personally with them standing pat. From your perspective, would you have preferred the team just do nothing, or were you looking for another trade? Like,
no, I'm glad they did a little something. I mean, as I say, they're taking a little bit of a gamble that he could do that. But then again, he also made some comments, supposedly, I guess that Draymond got on his case about saying he would not sign an extension with the Warriors.
And then he did sign the extension.
And he did. Okay, I didn't get the read off. So okay, so that's great. So he's willing to do that. Now the other concern is that there was all stuff out there. I don't know if it was true or not. Talking about both Kerr and Steph, we're not happy necessarily maybe about the chemistry, how it's going to work with him in the locker room, because after all, he's been in places and he's been a bit of an issue with, I'm not happy where he is, and when he's not happy, he creates an issue. So I'm hoping that's not the case. So at least maybe for a couple of years he can be on good behavior, give Steph a chance to get another championship, play at the level he played at when he did the things he did in those 2 seasons you mentioned, and then it'll turn out to be a really nice trade for them. But they still need to get something else. We still have that issue with the center position, the size, and all the other stuff. But yes, I think overall, if he plays at the level that he's shown he's capable of playing, the Warriors will be a better basketball team and should be able to be a playoff team once he joins. Now, I will also comment on this part of it. If you remember, when we were still doing stuff years ago, when KD came, I said KD will become a better player playing for the Golden State Warriors.
Yes, he did. I remember that.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, he can do the same thing. Butler can do the same thing if he buys into this and plays this style of basketball. This style of basketball is fun to play. You don't have to work as hard. You get a lot of easier shots, so you don't have to go and do it all on your own. And if he buys into this and feeds off of it, I think that he can certainly become even a better basketball player, because playing this style of basketball is the way the game was meant to be played, just like KD became a better player.
Here's another angle that I'm curious about. And side note, I want to take a step back for a moment, because this trade deadline was arguably the wildest in NBA history. I don't remember a trade deadline like this. You've been watching, playing, involved far more than me. What are your sentiments on the trade deadline? Luka, we can talk about all that.
The Luka trade alone made it like, that's pretty unbelievable. I can't believe that Dallas didn't get more for giving up Luka. I mean, I don't know. I know they saved like $100 and something million by not having to pay him a super max contract on an extension, but they're giving up. They give up one of the young best players in the league.
Yes.
And what did they get for it? They got a hell of a player. I like Davis for sure. I think they have a better chance of doing better in the playoffs with him this season. But overall, what did they get other than that that's really that good for them? I mean, seriously.
Look, there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and I promise the audience we're going to talk a lot about Jimmy Butler. There's so much to break down right here. The Mavericks Lakers piece of this. First of all, Rick? Look, you played with Wilt. You played with all the legends of this game. What are your thoughts on the fact that the Lakers just basically sit there and just mind their own business, doing their thing. And they don't ever have to worry, apparently, about roster construction, about relevancy. They just have superstars, the game's greatest players, constantly falling on their laps. It just happened again, Rick. We're going back to Wilt, Kareem, them somehow getting the first pick so they can draft Magic, Shaquille O'Neal, Pau Gasol, LeBron. I mean, it's ridiculous. What are your thoughts on the Lakers just always ending up with the best player? It's absurd to me.
Yeah, well, it's not like it just happens because everybody wants to go to LA. I can assure you here, this is not Luka wanting to go to LA and play. Okay. I mean, he's not the kind of guy looking to be a movie star or something of that nature and be involved in the industries that exist out in Los Angeles. That's not a reason. That's happened. You know, LeBron was big into that, wanting to get there. Some other guys, but I know there was a lot of work in trying to get Shaquille out there. Yeah, that was a part of it. But I know how hard Jerry West worked when he was the general manager. He was a good friend. God rest his soul. And I know what he had to go through. Trust me. He was not happy with the shit that he had to go through to be able to get some of the players the Lakers got. They worked their butts off trying to do it. I heard the stories, trust me. And so it wasn't like, it wasn't like they just fell into their laps. They get this one. They got this one did. This one really did because they were approached. They were approached about him, not just recently. This has been going on for a while, talking about him going to the Lakers. So, yeah, but to get that deal. That was one of the great steals of all time for the Lakers.
Ever, yeah, easily.
I mean, because you have to have that kind of a marquee player in LA because it's LA.
Yep.
La La Land, right? It's that you have to. And they always managed to line up. That's why they went after and tried to get, Shaq when they did it. And they got Kareem and they got the other players. And then they get LeBron. I mean, yeah, they were lucky in this case. This wasn't lucky like they went out and worked their butts off to try and bring him in. What I'm shocked at is that Dallas didn't shop around to see what more they can get for him. And I can't imagine that there weren't some teams willing to give up a whole lot to get their hands on him.
There would be teams giving up like 4 first-rounders, whatever they could have gotten the house for him. It's absurd. And you're right. What are your thoughts? Look, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but certain conspiracies, they make sense. Like a lot of the JFK conspiracies, for example. Yeah, I do pause when I hear some of these things and compared to what's officially on record. When it comes to the NBA and more specifically this Luka trade, some of the conspiracies do have a semblance of some rationale to it.
Which one are you talking about? What are you talking about? What conspiracy?
In this case, being that the reasoning behind Luka being handed to the Lakers was to drive up interest in the game. Clearly, the ratings, interest, relevancy, all this stuff is going to spike with Luka going to the Lakers now. You also have an ownership group of the Mavericks in the Adelson family, casino magnates, who reportedly may or may not want to move the Mavericks to Vegas. This trade completely disenfranchises that fan base, right? So they'll happily watch them leave now, and the Adelsons can be comfortable in Vegas with their franchise. The expansion team can then go to Dallas in return. Those are the conspiracies in play here. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't necessarily think they're conspiracies. I think those are certainly rational.
Yes.
Rational ideas and concepts that conceivably can make some sense. So I don't know. It's like a conspiracy. As far as the JFK thing, we're going to find out about that because, Trump signed the executive order to be able to open all of that stuff up. So I'm looking forward to hearing that because I almost was down on the trip when RFK got killed in L.A. I was asked to go on that trip, and I would have been with Rosie Greer and all there. And I'm saying, thank God that didn't work out because that would have been horrendous for me to have to be there and have witnessed something like that. So we'll find out about that. But we'll see how it plays out. A lot of that stuff you'll never find out about. Like you say, the inner workings of people were talking, whatever. It's the same thing with, moving Seattle to Oklahoma City. I mean, they had great fan base up there doing stuff. And then to pull that team out of Seattle, I mean, that was a killer. Those people were so disappointed. And the Maverick fans are up in arms, figuring this is ridiculous. What the hell are you doing? Now, the only thing that can change that is that if Davis plays at the level he's been playing, which is pretty damn good this season, and they get a big guy, and now he's going to be happy he's playing the 4, which he wants to do. He didn't want to be a center. Problem is Lively's out. I've kind of liked him. He was active and doing stuff, but he's out. But he's supposedly going to be back before the end of the season and for the playoffs. So if they can do something special and come playoff time, a lot of people's memory when it comes to sports is short.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, seriously. All of a sudden, if the team starts going, oh, yeah, this is great. And they forgot all about all this stuff that they made a big crap, big stink about. So let's see what
And you brought
happens
the
and how it plays
60s.
out.
You lived through a very tumultuous time in our country's history. The late 60s, and just the 60s and period with JFK and RFK, was it RF? I don't know if there's an F in Roberts, but Robert Kennedy assassinated, Martin Luther King assassinated. And you were like, your celebrity, Rick, in those days, was it comparable to LeBron James? Like,
No,
you were a mega superstar.
Listen, nobody knew about it. We didn't have ESPN and Fox Sports. Nobody doing. Hey, just our 1975 championship playoff series, the major sport in the United States, was on delayed television, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Come on.
That's crazy.
It's
the 80s, the 80s definitely ramped up interest in the NBA.
This is the beauty. I talk about it so often. This is one of the same things. You have to wait and see what's going to happen. We have to wait. Yeah. How is Jimmy Butler going to fit in with the Warriors? Is he going to play at the level that we know he's capable of playing? So this is all, hey, who knows? How is Davis going to play over there with Dallas? Who knows? You just got to wait and see how it works out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's the beauty, of life, and especially in sports. I mean, that stuff happens all the time. You just don't know.
You're right. You mentioned you also brought up something about short memories in sports, and I feel like that applies to Jimmy Butler especially, because most of the talk about Jimmy is him being like his character issues. People were attacking who he is as a person because he wanted out of Miami. Him and Pat Riley having a fallen out. But when Jimmy Butler is not disgruntled and he's happy, he is a productive, dominating basketball player. And we reported this information on this show that a huge reason, the primary reason that the Warriors even pursued Jimmy Butler in the first place, this is a Mike Dunleavy Jr. production. Him and Jimmy Butler played together in Chicago. They reportedly have a good relationship, and that has been the catalyst for Jimmy Butler being the specific target for the Warriors is Mike Dunleavy Jr. He knows Jimmy. He likes Jimmy. They gave him a 2-year extension, contrary to what Brian Windhorst had reported just 2 days earlier, which was that Jimmy Butler will not sign an extension with the Warriors.
Well, that just shows you how much the talking heads know.
Yep, you're wrong. So he did sign the extension. And again, who knows if Windy was just fed that information from Jimmy Butler's agent, but still be cognizant enough to know that you're being played in this whole process there, because he was. So Jimmy Butler signs the extension. It's not a back-breaking extension. It's 2 years after this season. So basically, you're going to get Jimmy Butler now, who's 35, Jimmy Butler next year at 36, and then Butler's 37 in the final year of that deal. It's not a deal that's going to cripple the Warriors. But my point is, going back to the memory thing, I think he's going to be happy here. I think we're going to get the best version of Jimmy. What are your thoughts on what do you think is the best case scenario? Is a title possible, Rick? If Jimmy shows up and plays his best version, he wants a ring. He's never gotten a ring. I love the motivated Jimmy coming here, especially if he's happy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Hell, if I knew, I'd go put a bet down with one of the guys that are your sponsors. I don't know. I honestly, truly don't know. That's what I say. It's just you have to wait and see how it's going to pan out. Anything can happen. Hell, I know that firsthand. I mean, I saw what happened with our team. I mean, there's no way at the start of the season that even I personally thought we were going to wind up winning a championship and sweep. I mean, come on. No way. Yeah. But as things progressed, I was more and more. I said, wait a second. We're pretty darn good here. And I honestly thought we would win. I never thought we would sweep. But I honestly, when the time we got there, I said, we can beat this team. We can win this thing. I was very positive about that. So we just have to see how it evolves. Let's see what Post does. I mean, let's see how the big guy, let's see how he evolves. He's got a whole half a season to do that. Let's see what happens when Kuminga comes back. I mean, there's so many variables and unknowns here. But the thing is, you have two really outstanding players. Well, and a third guy who's a good cog in it, who's been there before, in Draymond, okay? And yeah, anything can happen. And if the pod man, all of a sudden, this explosion that he finally got a chance to do something, maybe all of a sudden his game goes up a whole new level and he performs at a good thing. I mean, all these little things are all part of what sports is about. And so I'm excited to see how these guys manage to play together and work together, and the combinations that Steve comes up with. So yeah, it's like to just look at this, folks. This is the start of a new season for the Golden State Warriors. They only got a few more games before they get to the break at All-Star break, which is actually a break. When I played, there was no real break. I left the next morning to go play a game. Okay, so in fact, we played 3 games in a row. We played the All-Star game in 3 games the next 3 nights on the road. Okay, yeah, stupid. Anyway, so yeah, let's see what happens. I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by it. As I say, I'm always the eternal optimist, looking at the positive stuff. I think, Steph, was nice to see him have a nice offensive game again, because he really wasn't playing, I think, at the Steph Curry level that we're accustomed to seeing. So if he elevates his game and Jimmy comes in and plays at the level he's capable of playing, and the pod man plays kind of, not necessarily go out and get 29 points, but plays at a much better level than he's been playing at, and Kuminga the same way, how's he going to use? So if a lot of guys step up and play to their potential, and some of the young people all of a sudden develop quickly for the Warriors, anything can happen. And that's just the way I look at it. I'm going to feel that way until I see and they prove that that's not the case.
Well, I think a huge reason why a move was desperately needed, and first of all, Wiggins had to go because of the contract. It was going to be either him or Draymond, and who knows what the specific reasoning was, whether Miami preferred a Wiggins, whether the Warriors insisted that Draymond not be moved. Who knows? I mean, only the people at the top there making the decisions have that answer. But regardless, Wiggins was moved at least partly because of the salary. You have to match salaries to make trades work. But another part of it is Stephen Curry. You bring up his production decline this year, which by his standards is bad. By everyone else's standards, he's still having a great year.
No, it'd be career years for most players.
Yes, exactly. But by his standards, it sticks out a little bit. But what I'm seeing repeatedly, is him nearly every possession. And I'm not being hyperbolic saying that. I'm not exaggerating. Nearly every possession, he is facing double, sometimes triple teams defensively. It's not an obvious scheme on the other team's part. Like, you don't see traps right at half court, for example, but you do see a concerted effort by other teams to make sure Steph is shut down. And players like Wiggins just did not do enough to make up for Steph being the primary focus of a defense. And my opinion is, with Jimmy Butler on board, teams are going to pay a heavy price if they continue that approach. I think life will get easier for Steph. I also think Steph will make life easier for Jimmy Butler. What are your thoughts on that concept and idea?
Well, for sure. As I said a little earlier, I mean, Jimmy's going to be a better player playing this particular system, and he plays at that level. He just makes it more difficult. This is a difficult team to guard when they play the kind of basketball they play.
Yes.
The more decisions you force the defense to make, the more the likelihood they'll make a mistake, and you capitalize on those mistakes. I've said this time after time after time. It's just the nature of the beast. And the Warriors play that type of basketball, which was one of the main reasons that they won all those championships, because the guys all bought into that. And if this team finds a way to do that, and if all the other things I just mentioned, where guys elevate their games and the young players pick up and do something, and Kuminga comes back and elevates his game, this is a team that you have to worry about. This is not the kind of team in playoff time, even if they're down at, even if they make it into 8, which hopefully they will, but you don't want to play against a team like this. Because they're a difficult team to play against because of the way that they play. And so hopefully all the pieces will start fitting together. Right now, they're all kind of laying on the board on the jigsaw puzzle, right? And now we got to try to move them around to fit them into the little slots so that we can put that beautiful picture together. And so that's kind of where we are right now. It doesn't look particularly great, but there, a couple of the pieces are in, maybe in the corners or something around the edges, whatever, but we got to fill in the middle. So we're in that process right now, trying to figure out how to move the pieces around so they fit in and you get the final picture.
I think
that's a pretty good analogy. Wasn't that from the Blue right there? I like that analogy.
I do like that. I like everything you say, Rick. You're fantastic. One of the many pieces that was traded yesterday, Andrew Wiggins was the focal point, but Dennis Schroeder got traded as well. And I love the idea of moving on from him, because we saw so many iterations of Warriors lineups where Schroeder is one of 3 or 4 guards out there routinely. Call me crazy, but I think size matters in basketball. And as good of a year as Schroeder's having, 6'1" for your height does negatively impact a team when he's alongside a 6'3" Steph, a 6'4" Podziemski out there routinely, a 6'2" Gary Payton II. So moving on from Schroeder, I like the idea personally, because now Podziemski will have a bigger role as a point guard, as opposed to just being, a 2 guard playing out of position at times. It forces Kerr's hand a little more in terms of playing bigger players. I also love Pat Spencer, who's likely going to get a guaranteed deal now, or at least get a bigger run after this. Your thoughts on what I just said, sir?
No, I agree 100% with you. I mean, get moving straight. He wasn't making any difference whatsoever. And you don't need that contract. I mean, get rid of it and let's work and use the other pieces that we have. Again, like I say, all these other guys are those little pieces in the center of this wonderful puzzle that they kind of put the edge around. And now we got to just figure out where they're fitting. And so that's up to Steve to figure out. And it's up to the guy. It's up to the guys also to elevate their games. The guys have got to elevate their games. They have to play at a higher level on both sides of the court. They really do. I mean, and that's been the problem. The inconsistency has hurt a lot. But again, the positive part of it is look at all. They've had, 31 games, clutch games, but they're only 16 and 15 in doing that. And you're that close in that many games. Just take, they lost 15 of them. Just take a third of those. Take a third of those, and they're in good shape.
Whole different season. Different season. You're absolutely right. All it's going to take for the Warriors is one run to suddenly be right in the higher echelon of the Western Conference standings. That's how much of a cluster F-bomb all this is. So you're absolutely right. The Warriors today tried to make a move. At least this is according to Mark Stein. They tried. And I guess apparently this went up to the very last minute of the trade deadline, which is expired today at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. They tried to get Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls. From my observations studying the NBA landscape for years, the Chicago Bulls don't seem like a fun team to try and deal with, to try and make trades with. I have genuine sympathy for the fan base there for having to endure like going on 3 decades of mediocrity since the Jordan era. It's very sad. And so with all that said, the Warriors tried. They could not get Nikola Vucevic. The Bulls would not lower their asking price. And so the Warriors are moving on. And the way the front court is going to look like is Quentin Post, who is currently on a 2-way deal, will get a guaranteed deal. So they're going to sign him finally, thankfully. And that's important because that'll make him eligible for the postseason. A player that's going to be promoted, you're going to see him. I don't know how much of a run he's going to get, but he's going to be getting 10-day contracts. The Warriors, I saw the math today, and they're going to get below the cap in such a creative manner. You're going to be seeing 10-day deals. These little mini contracts just so they can end up being, I think, $30,000 under the cap. It is madness.
30,000?
Yeah.
Just $30,000.
Yes, that close. When all said and done, the margin is razor thin. But you're going to be seeing one player that I'm really intrigued about, Rick, that you are going to start seeing, and he might end up being on the postseason roster, is Kevin Knox, who a former lottery pick. He brings size to the table. My sources in Santa Cruz, more specifically among them, I have a few that I talked to, but Kevin Deanna, the play-by-play voice, who's been a guest on our program before, he is raving about Kevin Knox, and they couldn't promote him previously because 2-way players have to have a maximum of 4 years service. Anything beyond that, you're no longer eligible for a 2-way contract. So Kevin Knox could not get a run as a 2-way player, and the Warriors did not have the cap space to give him an actual deal. Now you're going to start seeing Kevin Knox get some minutes for the Warriors. So what are your thoughts on Quentin Post and players like Kevin Knox? We saw Jackson Rowe make his debut for the Warriors last night as a 2-way player. I like these kids. I like, some people are saying the Warriors are not better because of this. I strongly disagree with that notion. I finally see a nice path of rationale, of logic moving forward for this team with the combination of young pieces and the veterans. I like it, Rick. Your thoughts, sir, on these young pieces and the bigs?
Yeah, well, the big thing is the young people have to step up. I mean, they really do. But also, they have to get the chance. I mean, you can't step up if you're not provided with a step. It's hard to go up the stairs if the door to the stairs is closed. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to do. Unless you're somebody that can just bust through that door and start going up the stairs. Knox, that's the Nick guy, right? Then wasn't he? Where did Kevin get drafted by?
I can't remember the team he got drafted by. I know he played for Portland. I don't know if that's who drafted. I'll look it up real fast.
Yeah, but anyway, but the same thing. Every one of these guys, it's going to be incumbent upon them to elevate their games and play at a consistently high level for the remainder of the season on both ends of the court. What will help them more than anything else, if I was there to tell them, is, guys, we need to first and foremost make a commitment to our team defense. You're
Yes.
not going to win a championship if you're not a good defensive team. If they do that, the other stuff kind of falls in place and it creates all other opportunities. You get some steals, you're getting the boards, you're getting the break, you're getting opportunities in transition. That's a critical element. And so if that commitment comes from all of these players and they elevate their team defense, and then the guys play with confidence and play more consistent on the offensive end of the court. Well, they just showed you last night. Look at how, of course, they didn't play one of the better teams in the league, and that's another thing too. But they did score a lot of points, and they had a kind of a makeshift lineup basically. But it was encouraging for me to see them to be able to do that. As I mentioned earlier in the show, it was a disappointment that they had a game in their grasp and they let it slip through their fingers. And unfortunately, they've done that on multiple occasions this season. Well, now the second half of the season, just let's not do that.
Yes.
Okay, and get some extra victories in there and get us into the top, get us into that, if nothing else, the 8th slot, the 7th slot, get into the regular playoffs and not have to go through the play-in.
I'm telling you,
That's
haters
the
like
that should be the goal for this team now, is get in there and get into 7, 8. And who knows, his weight is jammed up. Hell, you could give it maybe as high as 5, for God's sake.
Yeah, but there are people who are not happy with the moves that the Warriors have made recently. There's people in the chat saying Jimmy Butler won't do a thing. You bring up defense. I think Jimmy Butler is a fantastic defensive player. The Warriors have not had an answer. Did I say the right for LeBron James? And since he's been a Laker, I mean, LeBron has owned the Warriors. The Lakers have owned the Warriors since he's been a member of that team. Jimmy Butler at least helps with that. Your thoughts on Jimmy's impact defensively? I love him as a defensive player. I don't know what your feelings are, but I'd love to hear them.
To me, an individual defender is not critical. It's team defense that wins.
Fair, that's fair.
And,
yes.
and it's a bonus if you get a guy who also, I had a great guy, Darren Hancock, who played at Kansas and played in the minor leagues. I coached him in the minor leagues. Unbelievable individual defender, but he was a crappy team defender. I said, hey, I love what you're doing, Darren, but I said, you got to play team defense. You're killing us with your team defense. I said, if you learn team defense and you can do what you do offensively, that gives you a hell of an advantage and a real edge on other players. And so that's what it comes down to. It's team defense that wins, not individual defense. I asked Jack Ramsey, God rest his soul, the former great coach, 76ers and the Trailblazers. I said, Jack, I'll give you 12 players. 12 are great individual defenders, or they're 12 great team defenders. Which 12 do you want? He said, I'll take the 12 team defenders. Absolutely.
The doctor was a great broadcaster too. I listened to a lot of radio broadcasts with him on the color commentating angle, and I miss him. He was
let's see what happens with the Warriors. It's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers play again, and the Warriors play against the Lakers without Davis there. So that'll be interesting, because I don't think Luka's not going to play, right? I don't think he's shown.
Not tonight. I think Luka's going to make his debut Saturday. The Lakers also made a move for this guy Mark Williams out of Charlotte, who I mean, look, people are hyping this kid up. He's young. I don't know if that was a wise move. They traded Dalton Connect among a few assets to get him. So that's their center. Kevin Knox, by the way, you're correct, was drafted by the New York Knicks back in 2018. He was the 9th overall pick, and then he's had a journey since then. He played for the Knicks, went to Atlanta briefly, went to the Pistons briefly, went to Portland briefly. He's been all over the place, and he's currently playing for the G League Warriors. We're going to see him, though. Count on that.
I still have a lot of stuff. I had the memorabilia stuff that I do with the basketballs and pictures and stats and all that stuff. I had a whole bunch of stuff when we did it, because my guy is back in New York. I have tons of Kevin Knox stuff from when he was back there as a Knick. But I also have a lot of panels used with his signature and stuff on it, so maybe he'll go and play well, and we can have the Kevin Knox, and we'll put him on a Warriors basketball. See, there we go.
Ooh, hey now.
Anyway, anyway, listen, I got to run because I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
sounds good. We wrap it up here.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up because I got to go. I promised my wife I go out and go for a bike ride with her, and happy wife, happy life. And so
yes.
Anyway,
and you've got an incredible wife, sir.
Check out Dr. Rosanelli if you're worried about your hair. Give him the information again, and all of the stuff. He'll roll it on the bottom for my stuff with gold sleeves and medicaleaf.com.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Let me get all that.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll roll that at the bottom of the thing, and RB24 is the code to go into for all of those things. And some great products that I use on a religious basis.
Rick, one of the products that you endorse, and I'm guessing you're part of these companies, Go Sleeves. What are your thoughts? Like Stephen Curry has knee tendonitis, like both.
I
his
understand that. And here's the thing. I had sent some stuff over and the people didn't even acknowledge the trainers a couple of years ago. Steph needs to wear this sleeve because it's got kinesio tape built into it. In fact, I just saw Tyson McGuffin really tough because I'm into pickleball, one of the really great pickleball players. And he's got something where he was wearing kinesio tape. And I sent him up. I said, hey, let me know. Let's get you a Ghost sleeve, man. Get this sleeve. It can't hurt you. It's really great stuff. It's good for recovery. And Steph should try the sleeve. In fact, I mean, he should be wearing it. I tried to get when Draymond had the issue with the calf and stuff. Remember? No, sent stuff over.
Still does.
Nothing. I mean, it's ridiculous. These guys need to be wearing this stuff. You should be taking care of your body. It's a temple. Take care of it. I mean, respect it. And
yes,
these products are absolutely fabulous products. They can't certainly hurt you, but at least let them try it because it's better than the crap that's out there in the marketplace. And everybody, there's not one person that I got to start using Go Sleeve who hasn't come back to me and said, wow, this is the best product that I've had and used. I love this product. So Go Sleeves, they should do it. And I don't know what the hell the Warriors, I know that the staff has them. We sent a whole bunch of stuff over to them. And why they haven't put these guys in it and at least to give them a chance to try it is beyond my comprehension. You're dealing with multi-millions of dollars here in product and a person that you want to have at the highest level. And to not try something like that is nuts. It really is. It kind of pissed me off, to be honest, when they didn't even respect by saying, hey, thanks for sending the products. We'll give them a try. Just wrote it off, I guess. I don't know.
That's not cool. It's not cool at all. And especially given, I mean, look, your jersey's hanging in the rafters of Chase Center. Like why would they not at a bare minimum listen to you? I don't get that. That's wild to me. And I every time I see Stephen Curry hobbling, all I can think of is Go Sleeves. Like, why is he not putting those things on his knees and have the support that would make him feel better and perform at a higher level? So anyways, Rick, for the audience, I'm going to be back tonight. It's Warriors-Lakers. This is the second of a back-to-back. I'm going to tell the audience right now, don't expect great things. I don't know if Steph's going to play. I don't know if Draymond's going to play. Jimmy Butler is not going to play tonight. So this is going to be a very short-handed Golden State Warriors team, and I'm not expecting a lot. So, and I would advise the fan base.
But here's the thing. Because it's the NBA, I already told you, always expect the unexpected.
Right,
the Lakers may be thinking this. Lakers may be thinking the same thing. And watch out, there's crazy things happen in the world of sports. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Warriors go down there and find a way to win a basketball game. That would be awesome. I would love it.
I would love it too. Anything to beat the Lakers, absolutely. So, point is, join us tonight. I'll talk to the audience. I'll answer everything you have. I see some people talking about the buyout market. Don't expect anything from the Warriors there. There won't be much available anyways, but I'm optimistic is all I'm saying. I love the move. I love the fact that the Warriors did something. I think everyone who's worried about Jimmy Butler, that concern is going to evaporate. The moment you see him in a Warriors uniform, and especially the moment you see wins. Wins fix everything, Rick. Would you agree with that? I don't know what your thoughts are. But
I mean, exactly. Winning fixes a whole lot of issues.
Yeah,
problems, and we'll see what happens. There's still a lot of season left, folks. So, like they say, the old cliche, the jury is out, still out. And here's the
Rick,
thing.
I love you.
Here's the thing. Here's the jury. You haven't seen all the evidence yet, so don't go out trying to make a decision. Wait until all the evidence comes in.
Exactly. That I 100% agree with you, sir. Always a pleasure, Rick. People can follow you on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Enjoy the bike ride, sir. We'll see you again tonight, everyone. Above.